Between Series 1 and Series 2 of 2023, we kicked off a brand new focus series, the Love Series, in celebration of love in February 2023. This had a great response, reminding us of what made people human. It sent some listeners back to their old photo albums to remind themselves of show jumping days, and others felt motivated to take up hobbies again. Now we are back to our main series focused on investment professionals, but love runs through it like a golden thread. Love, discipline, and lessons from parents.
I remember I started playing football when I was in second grade, and I hated it, right? I hated getting hit. I hated playing in the cold. And I told my parents that I didn't want to play anymore. I didn't enjoy it. And they said, no, you're not quitting. This is going to be one of the first lessons in life that you really learn. You're going to stick out the season.
My father came from a very poor background, and his advice was always, look forward, don't look backwards, and never be bored. If you can't solve something, go find a new way to solve the problem. Always be looking forward.
We hear from an expert in music valuation about his craft, but also some of the inspiring clients he has learned from.
This is a guy who gets a standing ovation literally every night he performs, like 2/3 of the time. And he said, Barry, did you see I got a standing ovation tonight? And I said, Marvin, you got a standing ovation every night. And he looked at me, but every night, it's special.
We hear from an investor in women's health about the personal experience that motivated her and why this area matters so much.
So we're thinking about women's health as not just the health of the reproductive organs, but the health of the whole woman. And we're thinking about the opportunity as not a niche, but rather half the population.
Another guest tells us how challenging managing money can actually be.
Every investment manager knows this. The worst day of the year is January 1. It's awful because everything is reset to zero. Doesn't matter how well you did last year, you've got to start it all over again. Everything starts again.
And yet another about the importance of being a pioneer sometimes.
I was the only female investor for a very long time. If I waited to have a mentor, I wouldn't have got anywhere. And this idea, I needed to see somebody like me. I mean, you'd never have pioneers if you always waited for somebody. Somebody's got to be the first person, haven't they?
We talk about the outlets, like exercise, that can reduce our stress.
It's all about the effort you put in. We can all create barriers. We can all say things are too hard, it's too difficult, the cost is too much, or we can't find the time. But actually, if we really commit and we're disciplined, the outcomes are incredible.
And as always, our reflections remind us to see the big picture.
And when I look back, honestly, if I had done a third of what I was doing in terms of both travel and working 24/7, I would have probably been equally effective, if not more effective.
And sometimes, from very different walks of life, we can see the essential truths.
I was being very, very hard on myself about everything. And the priest just turned around to me and said, well, welcome to the human race. And it was just such a wonderful way of stopping me in my tracks and helping me take that step back and think, well, actually, I'm just human, just like everyone else.
I recently spent some time with a Native American healer, and his advice to me was very simple: show up, deliver, move on.
So from next week, we will show up and deliver. Please show up too and listen. You can find all of our podcasts on the 50 Faces Hub, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.